It's been a busy day, day 3 of the 2019 Twin Cities Film Fest here on the Ballard Spar red carpet. I'm Miss Shannon. Now, we have talked to some of the actors of the Soviet sleep experiment, but now we have the people that actually did all of the work and got it done. So, Director Barry Andersson, producer Sara, Leeper, and composer Andrew Joslin. Now, Andrew, we saw their names, but then you were the first one to get a shout-out because we were told by your half-brother Chris Kattan that the only reason he's in the movie is because of you.
Yeah, this is the first project that we've ever worked on together. So it was how I convinced him, and I was like, come out to Minneapolis, let's do something together. So, yeah.
And Barry, I did hold off on this question and didn't ask the askers about it, but why don't we give you the honor of telling everybody what the Soviet sleep experiment is about and why you decided to make this film?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. So the movie is based off an urban legend about a study that was done post-World War II in the Soviet Union where they kept people awake thinking that they could study the good effects. And it turns out not such great things happen if you keep people awake. So the reason we wanted to do this is we wanted to have kind of this genre where we could play, and we kind of came up with this idea that during the movie, everybody gets little bits and pieces of information. At the end, you don't know what's right, what's wrong, and you see that cascading effect of what happens when you don't have right information. So it's kind of a fun psychological thriller that ends up with some blood and guts there at the end of the movie.
And we love films like this at the Twin Cities Film Fest because we always have a segment where we talk about films that have Minnesota ties. But a lot of times when we say that, people presume that they're always these smaller films, and so we're always so happy to be able to showcase these bigger films and these industry films like this one. So thank you for producing it, Sara. So what's it like to produce a film like this here?
Well, I have to say that the community in Minneapolis is so supportive of what you're doing. I know, like, through this process, a lot of people talk to us about it. We're interested about it. We had the ability, though, really to take over and to build our set from the ground up. So the chamber that the patients are in, that is all built from the ground up, and we took over this warehouse and basically lived there during December and January of this year. But it really allowed us to both bring in talent internationally. We have a lot of international talent, but also showcase some of the talent and obviously the crew based here in Minneapolis.
Well, where did you actually film it?
Filmed in Lakeville, so south of the cities.
And I think it was interesting because we were asking them, and you could tell that even though it was a film that was based upon a fictitious experiment, the actors did seem a little shell-shocked about the actual interaction they had to have. So was it really, did you intentionally set up kind of that cramped environment that while you're doing the filming?
So, yeah, so not only did the production designer build it in such a way where it almost was a psychological experiment for the actors, because one of the great things when you have good actors, the more you can let them kind of set free. So you stick them all in a tiny space for days on end, you're going to get some really unique things, and I think that's what we captured on film.
I mean, when talking about building this chamber from the ground up, I have to give some props to our production designer, who unfortunately couldn't be here, but Chris Ballas. He's an amazing artist, and so he really, this is his vision come to life, kind of like a Jules Verne of the Soviet Union.
Amazing. And then how did you decide how were you going to doing the composition and any of the music that was involved, Andrew?
Well, when I first started, all I had was kind of stills of this chamber and just the idea of the urban myth. So I started with like, okay, let's go with a lot of the sound design elements. So I had a little Tascam recording unit. I went to like an old abandoned bunker and started recording just metal and pipes and just weird metallic sounds that get this kind of more atmospheric kind of feel. And then started, by the time I had Locked Picture, which was pretty much only like 4 weeks ago, then it was like, okay, it's a mad dash that really writes something compositionally evocative for the film.
We're really excited to have the Soviet sleep experiment here at the Twin Cities Film Fest. I was even talking to the actors, and they were excited because unlike some of our other films, many of them hadn't seen it yet. So they seemed like they were just really geeked to go in there and go, how did this actually turn out, and what am I going to look like?
That was also by design.
So if people can't see us this particular festival, what are your next big plans for the Soviet sleep experiment?
Well, now that we got picture lock and stuff like that, we have quite a few distributors that have reached out, and we're basically going to start that process of bidding and finding the right home for it so that the most amount of people can to share our experience and let us know how they did.
And how do we have all of our viewers support you in your film?
You can find us on Facebook for Soviet Sleep Experiment, and just
also on Instagram.
And Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
All the major social media platforms, we have it. And then the thing is tell your friends.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, thank you very much for not only bringing it to our film festival, but filming it here in Minnesota and putting so many of our great actors here back to work. We appreciate that, and we can't wait to share your film with us. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
We will be back here on the Twin Cities Film Fest red carpet. Thanks for joining us.